Okay.
So Leona, what club is that you're hitting now?
It's just a wedge, so just get a few short shots just to start off with because I haven't hit in an hour or so now, so just warm back up. Just
So
hit a
when
few.
she's getting warmed up, she doesn't go for the driver straight away. With the wedge, she's going to hit a couple of wedges just to get the body moving and the body warmed up. Okay, you know the way when you go down to the range or if you go for a lesson or you're practicing, don't go for the driver first of all. Go for a wedge or the 9-iron or something, hit a few easy shots first of all and then build it up as you go along.
Yeah, usually I just start with a few wedges to start and then work my way up to the bag. Usually I'll always practice with a stick on the ground as well, just to...
Okay, what's the stick for, guys? Straighten your stance, yeah.
Yeah, alignment's very important, especially when you get out on the course, to make sure you're in where you think you are so you don't make swings trying to steer it at jamming too far right and then coming this way or too far left and pushing it. So making sure you're aimed where you think you are is very important.
Okay, but Leona's doing this. She is prepared there. Should we do it when we go practice? Absolutely. But can we forget to do it sometimes? We really don't. Because we might think our feet are in line when we're hitting, but maybe they're not. And as Leona says, that causes us to try and correct it with the swing and the ball goes left or goes right.
Yeah, sometimes you hit it right and you think it's your swing, but it might be just that you're pointed over there or pointed too far left or too far right or things like that. So ball position, and usually start with my feet together usually is a good way to start, and then split them slowly, so sort of one step to the left, one to the right. Sometimes if you just go up and stand and split them really quickly, you can be off without realising it. So it's nice sometimes just to start with your feet together, the ball between your 2 feet, and then just split them slowly.
So guys, that's a nice routine for you to get into. Stand at the pole, your feet together, one to the left, one to the right. That'll make sure you have your feet in the right position, along with the alignment stick. What club is that now, Leona?
This is an 8-iron.
An 8-iron.
Usually when I'm going out to play, I'll start with the wedges and then I'll go 8-iron, 6-iron, and then up to my woods.
Now,
And then driver.
I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So, if you're Leona, if you're hitting an iron, you know roughly the distance for each iron. So, guys, you're only starting golf now, so you need to get into your head. If I've got 80 meters to go, you should have a fair idea of what club it is. So, rather than going for your favorite club, maybe go for the right club. Do you know what I mean? Your distances, know your distances. Now, Leona is an expert at this. Obviously, she has it fine-tuned to exactly, you know. But for us, who are amateur players, we should know approximately the distance we hit each iron if we can, and work on that. Okay. What club is this, guys? What does it look like? What? 3 wood, 5 wood?
This is actually 6 hybrid.
6 hybrid. Okay.
This one goes nice and high. A little higher than a normal 6-iron would go, but it's a little bit easier to hit than than an ironwood. So a lot of the pros, if you look in their bags this week, you won't see very many 3 irons, you won't see very many 4 irons. A lot of them will have hybrids instead, and they're a little bit easier to hit than long irons are.
So Leona, for you, that 6 hybrid would be the equivalent of what in irons?
6 irons.
6 irons.
Yeah. So I switch between, sometimes if it's very windy,
Yeah.
because this goes very high, I'll switch and use the 6 iron for the day.
Okay. So do you ever get wind up in Strandhill, guys? Yeah.
No.
So what you got to think about is if it's very windy, you don't want to hit the ball too high. So you don't, because it'll throw it all around the place.
When it's windy, people try and swing faster just because of the wind. A lot of the time, that puts more spin on the ball, so it goes up in the air. So you actually want to swing nice and smooth in the wind. Grip down on it a little bit, and then it comes out lower.
That's a good tip now for Strandhill, guys. Grip it down lower, swing nice and easy.
Especially if you're into the wind, the ball doesn't just spin up. You have to be able to hit it low and high, depending on it.
She's hitting it pretty well, isn't she?
Yeah,
Really okay there.
So if you're hitting it low, you want to change anything in your setup?
yes, if I want to hit it lower, just like that. Start with the feet together. One big step to the left and then a smaller one to the right, so the ball is further back in my stance. I usually grip down just to have a little bit more control as well. And then I'll kind of stop my follow through. I won't swing all the way up to here. I'll just stop here just to make sure I'm staying down through it.
So the ball a little bit further back in your stance, guys. Down along the grip a little bit. To keep the ball low. That looks pretty good to me. Any questions, guys? Any? Okay. Yeah.
If you bring 3 clubs to a competition, what would you bring?
Well, you're 3. Yeah, a 3 club. Did you ever play one of those? A 3 club competition.
3 clubs. I'd probably bring a wedge. I'd bring in probably my lob wedge. Wouldn't bring a putter. You can putt with the lob wedge, so that has lots of uses. And then probably like a 7 iron and a 3 wood, something like that. 3 wood or 5 wood for off the tee.
Okay.
How many birdies have you hit in your whole golf history?
Any birdies? Well, that's a tough question. She gets birdies every day she goes out. Quite a few.
Shoot a few more today.
She has. Okay.
What's the longest you've ever hit?
The longest drive. What's your
I don't know.
what's your average?
My average is about 260 probably.
260 yards.
Kevin to clear.
Longest is probably 300, 310, something like that. The ball
Wow.
goes further. Different countries, the ball goes further depending on how warm it is. So when it's day like today, the ball doesn't go as far when it's rainy and stuff like that. But when it's in America, we play in Florida or warm places like that, the ball goes a lot further.
Okay.
Are you looking forward to the Solheim Cup?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I like playing as part of a team, so we don't get to do that very often. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Excellent.
What's your handicap?
Don't have one anymore.
See, when you turn professional, you don't have a handicap, you see. What was your handicap when you turned pro?
I think it's about +6 or +7. or
Plus
something.
6 or 7. Okay, good question.
When was your first competition?
I started playing golf when I was about 9, 10, and then started playing like 4-hole competitions. Then played 9, then 12, then 14, and then eventually 18. Then when I got a bit better.
Okay.
How much do you practice, like per week?
On a typical week, you'll be playing a competition, say on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So what do you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays? Do you go to the cinema? Do you lie around, or what happens?
No, it depends if it's a course if we've been there before. Not as much of an urgency, but if it's a new course, I'll usually play maybe 18 holes on Monday, do some practice, maybe 9 holes Tuesday, and then it depends. Sometimes the pro-ams are 9 holes, sometimes they're 18 holes, so that's
Wednesday.
usually on Wednesday. So usually we'll have at least 2 full rounds played, maybe a little bit more depending on the week and how much we need to know about the golf course.
And does your schedule ever allow you to take 2 weeks holidays like some of us do, to go off in the sunshine? Or you're playing in the sunshine most of the time, but do you ever get an opportunity to do that?
No, I mean summer's probably one of our busiest times, so there's really no time for much of a break. My break comes at Christmas.
Christmas time.
So the LPGA season runs from the middle of January to the middle of November, so December's kind of our time off.
One thing we don't see when we're watching it on the telly at the weekend, we see them playing, but it's a huge effort. It's a huge, work ethos going into practicing, going into obviously traveling around the world. It sounds glamorous, but it's not always glamorous. It is great and all that, but there is a huge amount of work goes into it, a huge amount of practice and preparation, all the rest of it, At what age were you when you started playing golf, when you picked up a club and started getting balls?
About 9 or 10.
9 or 10, so no, that's,
Some of you are ahead.
I started on a 9-hole par 3 course. Steve Russell has like a 9-hole par 3 course, so.
Well, we run a thing now called the Golf Sixes, which is 6 holes from 100 metres or 150 metres, and they play scramble, 2-ball scramble for under 13s. That's what we run in Golf Ireland now as an introductory. So that's very popular, and some of the people here have played in that and everything. Anything else, guys? Any other questions? Or have you run out of questions? And when you, I remember you playing Loughrea, which was close enough to where I live, in yourself and your sister, in the Connacht girls in Loughrea, yeah. And that day you put a lot of preparation into it the day before. You were actually going around the course, finding your bearings. So if you're playing in any Connacht championships, you know what I mean, girls and boys, you have to find out a bit about the golf course. Maybe go to it if you can, have a look around, be as prepared as you can. Okay.
When you started, were you ever like camera shy of being recorded?
Yes, we're camera shy.
I'm not a big fan.
She's not camera shy.
See you later.
Yeah, you get used to it. I don't really get a choice now, so you just have to get used to it.
I know in Golf Ireland, right, some of the training that Golf Ireland do with the budding players is they actually, role play that, let's say, hello, I'm Justin from Sky Sports, and that we actually do that, you know what I mean? Just give you a little bit of practice. And hopefully you get lots of opportunities to put that into practice. Doesn't mean then you're winning. Yeah.
How did you start playing golf?
I started playing with my twin sister. She played as well, so we used to go up to the golf course and play together and try to beat each other, and started from there. Played against the boys. There was no other girls in our golf club when we started, so we used to go out with the lads and play with them and play in their competitions. And
was it always golf, or did you play any other sports when you were younger?
no, I would have played football in school and did a lot of swimming and basketball and all kinds of sports.
Okay, so that's one thing to think of, guys. You don't have to. Golf can be can be lonely at times if you're playing on your own all the time. So for your own personal development, it's good to play other sports, team sports, be it football, camogie, hurling, rugby, soccer. Then you get to a stage then when you have to decide, you're going to stick with this, you know what I mean? And that's when you decide. But play as many sports as you can. Yeah.
Have you played Strandhill?
You played Strandhill.
My boss is
Are you going to invite her up? There was an invite there.
That's an
She
open
played
invitation.
Castlereagh. I remember her going up and playing. I think you had some relation in Castlereagh Golf Club.
She's here.
No, not me.
Carry the bag now.
We're very honoured to have her as an honorary member.
Do you think you'd be able to carry the bag? As a
Yeah,
caddy?
it's a heavy carry.
If Leona said that her caddy was after getting sick now for tomorrow, she was looking for it. She's not going to do this now. Would you be able to manage the bag, do you think? Huh? Would you?
I'd give it a go.
I'd say you would. Another question, yeah?
What's your favourite course in Ireland?
Well, this is
Drumoland.
I really like Lahinch, not far from here. We don't get to play a lot of links courses anymore, so I do like links courses when we get the chance.
And Strandhill is a great links course too, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, one last question.
What's the biggest course you've ever played on?
The biggest.
The biggest, the longest course, is it?
Usually our majors are probably the longest and the biggest course. So we played the US Open at Pebble Beach this year, which was pretty famous. Muirfield last year for the British Open, pretty famous. We're going to St Andrews next year for Irish Open, so that was pretty big as well.
We'll be watching.
Do you have a favourite club in the bag? Is it driver or putter or wedges or hybrids or?
Depends how well I'm hitting them. But I like my 9-wood. My 9-wood I use a lot. Yeah.
I've never heard of a 9-wood before. I might try it.
Yeah, it comes in handy.
I'll try until at this stage. I'm
Long
desperate.
par trees out of the rough. Does a bit of everything, so
Yeah,
pretty handy club.
Very good, very good. Would you mind hitting a drive?
Yep.
So we'll ask her to hit a drive, okay? And maybe give us a couple of, you can give us 2 or 3 tips when you're hitting a driver. So she's hitting the driver now, guys, okay? So watch carefully and listen.
Yeah, so one of the things with the driver is making sure you tee it up properly as well. Sometimes people tee it up too high and go under it. They tee it down too low and it can be hard to get up in the air. So just making sure that the ball is just slightly above the top of the driver, not too high.
So do you
not
see
too
that,
low.
guys? Okay. So what we make the mistake, me included, is you tee it up really high to make sure I'm going to hit it, not going to miss it, or not going to top it. Sometimes we tee it too high, we go underneath it and it ends up going up too high. So see the way it's kind of above the driver, but not completely half.
Not all the ball.
Would it be half the ball or
Yeah, maybe just half the ball.
half the ball above the driver?
Yes, we have with the driver we have it up a lot closer to your left foot. So when you spin it's a little step with your left and then a bigger step with your right. You want to be a little bit wider with the driver just so you can have better balance. It's a bigger swing.
What a shot.
If I could do that. With regards to the balance of your feet then, Leona, would your balance be fairly even on your 2 feet for a driver?
Yeah, a little bit maybe more tilted back on the right just for the driver because the irons you're sort of hitting down a little bit more, the driver you're hitting it up a little bit more, so you can have a little bit more weight on your right foot than you would with the irons.
But guys, if you get up in Strandhill and hit a ball like that,
Come back.
we'll all
Come
be
back
happy.
here.
Well done. Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Well done, guys.
Well done.
Okay, guys, if you just stay where you are, Leona's going to stand in front of you there, and we got a photo. Is that okay?
Small children to the front.
Smaller children at the front,
Oh, you went.
and the not so small
Thought you
children at the
were
back. Does that make sense? Tuck in a bit, guys, at the sides. Tuck in a bit at the sides. Okay.